Hello.
Shannen Doherty detailed her funeral plans and wishes. I want my funeral to be like a love fest.
Shannen Doherty, who passed away after a long battle with cancer, detailed her funeral and burial wishes on her podcast, Let's Be Clear. The popular actress wanted her remains mixed with those of her dog and father and scattered in meaningful places. She also talked about her preference for a small, sincere funeral. In her final years, Shannen Doherty focused on creating memories with loved ones rather than accumulating possessions, emphasizing experiences like a cherished trip to Italy with her mother. Shannen Doherty left behind detailed funeral plans. Doherty passed away on Saturday, July 13th, at the age of 53 after a prolonged battle with cancer, but before her death, she left detailed plans for her funeral and burial arrangements. In a January episode of her podcast Let's Be Clear, the actress discussed her wishes. I want my remains to be mixed with my dog, and I want it to be mixed with my dad. I do not want to be buried and not cremated. Doherty mentioned that her ashes should be dispersed in various healthy mixtures. While reflecting on cherished memories, the Beverly Hills 90210 star suggested that she and her father's ashes might be scattered in Malibu, California, a place where they spent precious time, or in another beloved location. She also entertained the idea of her remains being used to grow into a tree. Shannen Doherty wanted a shorter guest list for her funeral. Regarding her funeral, Doherty revealed that she wants a shorter guest list. She explained, "There's a lot of people that I think would show up that I don't want there. I don't want them there because their reasons for showing up aren't necessarily the best reasons. Like, they don't really like me, and, they have their reasons and good for them, but they don't actually really like me enough to show up to my funeral." Doherty added, "They'll show up because it's the politically correct thing to do, and they don't want to look bad, so I kind of want to take the pressure off them, and I want my funeral to be like a love fest. I don't want people to be crying or people to privately be like, 'Thank God that bitch is dead now.'" Shannen Doherty reflected on downsizing possessions to ease her loved one's transition. In an April episode of Let's Be Clear, Doherty discussed how she was letting go of physical possessions that no longer brought her joy, partly to make things easier for her loved ones after her passing. She shared, "It feels like you're giving up on something that was very special and important to you, but you know that it's the right thing to do and that it's going to give you a sense of peace and a sense of calm. Because you're helping the people that you leave behind just have a cleaner, easier transition." As a collector of antique furniture, the charmed alum also reflected on deciding which items to let go. "I'm not enjoying it, and others aren't enjoying it. And do I really need any of it? Do I need to have 3 dining room tables?" she pondered, per People magazine. The answer is no. None of us really need all the stuff that we have, and we could all do with a little bit of downsizing and not become a hoarder, which I was doing with all my furniture, Doherty added. Shannen Doherty prioritized creating lasting memories with loved ones. In the episode, Doherty emphasized focusing on creating memories with loved ones rather than accumulating material items during her remaining years. "I don't need this. It doesn't really bring me any great joy. But what does bring me great joy is taking my mom to the places that she's always wanted to go to," she shared, adding, "I get to build different memories. I get to build memories with the people I love. I'm not digging into the money that's in my estate that is going to make sure everybody in my life is taken care of." Reflecting on a trip to Italy with her mom, Doherty recounted, "My mom had tears pouring down her face because she never really thought that she would see that, and she certainly didn't think that she was going to be able to see that with me. Those are the things that matter the most, not your possessions, not what you have." Shannen Doherty felt hopeful about beating cancer. Prior to her passing, Doherty's final post on Instagram showed how optimistic she was about surviving cancer. The actress shared a video clip on June 25th from an episode of her Let's Be Clear podcast, where she talked about her chemotherapy and how it has been scary not knowing when it would end. "I have no idea how long I'm going to be on the chemo for," Doherty said. "I have no idea if it's going to be 3 months or if it's going to be 6 months, or if we're going to, if after 3 months it's not working, if we are going to change again. Like, I don't really know. That's not something that I can predict. It's not something my doctors can predict. And it's scary. It's like a big wake-up call." Doherty continued, "At the same time, I've got to say there is some positivity there. And the positivity is that because the molecular structure of my cancer cells changed recently, it means that there's a lot more protocols for me to try. So, for the first time in a couple of months probably, I feel hopeful because there are so many more protocols now. Whereas before, I was hopeful, but I was still getting prepared."